Those are great talks. Thank you. So our next speaker is Dr. Blake Williamson, who will be talking about the art and psychology of the patient conversation and the refractive cataract surgery consultation.
Kids versus adults.
All right. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody feeling? Happy Jazz Fest? Who's going to Jazz Fest? Yeah, that's what we're all here this weekend, actually, right? It's Jazz Fest. So whenever Austin reached out, I was looking at my calendar, and I was like, actually, that's Jazz Fest weekend. We're definitely in. This is awesome. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk to everyone. So this is going to be a very different lecture than what we just heard. There's not going to be any talk about TEPEZA or muscle surgery or diplopia. Or if there is, we're in trouble. My name is Blake Williamson. I practice just down the road in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at the Williamson Eye Center. I'm the medical director there. We are a multi-generational practice. Actually, my grandfather started it almost 90 years ago. He had 4 sons. They all became ophthalmologists, and I'm the 3rd generation. So we've grown over the past 90 years. We're up to 9 locations. I have 18 doctors that work for me, 4 of which are surgeons. We have 227 employees. We do about 130,000 patient visits a year. I perform roughly 2,500 cataracts a year. So high volume, and mostly what I do is refractive cataract surgery. So I would say nearly 70% of the patients who are coming in to my practice are electing some type of vision correction procedure on top of cataract surgery, whether that's femto or torics or multifocals. So that's kind of the bones of my practice. And what I find is that in order to do that successfully and not be pulling your hair out every day, how you talk to patients is important, right? So when I talk to rooms full of folks who are maybe just dabbling with refractive cataract surgery, or they're trying to get started with multifocals, they're often asking, well, how do you talk to patients about it? How do you have a conversion rate like that? In Baton Rouge, the mean household income is about $28,000 a year. So poor town, comparatively. It's not Dallas, it's not Highland Park, it's not Beverly Hills. Yet, 70% of patients elect something other than, Medicare and Medicaid cataracts. And so I think that the conversation around that is super important. How do you talk to patients? How do you set them up for success? How do you set expectations? And ultimately, how do you end up with a happy patient at the end of that rainbow? So that's what we're going to kind of discuss today. Let's see. Does the clicker work? How do you guys advance this thing? What's that? Oh, point it towards you. Okay, cool. I don't think I have any relevant disclosures other than I do want to send a shout out to Bennett Walton in Houston, Texas, and also Paul Singh up in Racine for helping with some of the content here. So this is kind of how we're going to break it up. We're going to talk about pre-op, intra-op, post-op, and the unhappy patient. So pre-op, really just patient education, diagnostics, and expectation management. Surgery part, that should be the easy part. That's when you really take it to the hoop. And if you don't deliver on the surgery part, really none of this other, window dressing matters. And then post-op, we don't want to make small things, big things. And then my favorite part is the unhappy patient. So, I remember I guess I'm in my 10th year of practice. And my first several years, I remember being like kind of bummed or almost annoyed when you had that 2020-ish, J1-ish patient who was just unhappy on your schedule. You're like, man, objectively, on paper, you're doing great. Why aren't you, I did a great job. Why aren't you happy? And I, of course, would label them crazy and sort of disregard them. Now I realize that almost always they're not crazy. They actually do have real complaints, things that bother them, and almost always there's something or a number of things that you can do to get them happier than what they were. So there can be some psychological warfare in getting there, but we'll kind of review some of that. So pre-op's where all the heavy lifting takes place. I love this picture. So the recipe for a happy post-op cataract starts from the very beginning, way before the operating room, and the chief ingredients are patient selection, education, and expectation management, right? So Chef Jacques here has a really cool thing that he does on Instagram. He's well known for his platings and does a lot of stuff for the food reviewers. And what's cool about this is, if I told you guys, this is going to be a 5-star restaurant, and this is what they're going to put before you for your appetizer, and here's what the picture looks like. All of you would say, oh, yeah, makes sense. That kind of looks like a fancy schmancy place. You're not too impressed. It's kind of what you expect. But if we were to tell you, well, that's actually Cheese Whiz on celery on the left, and the right is from McDonald's. It's a filet of fish meal. If I had told you, hey, we're going to give you Cheese Whiz and a filet of fish, and then you walk in and that's what they put before you, you're kind of blown away, right? So expectations are everything, right? So in my practice, we believe that expectations are premeditated resentments, right? So let that sink in. And so we do everything we can to sort of combat that. It starts with education. Way before you come in for the consult, our referring ODs have educational packets that mirror sort of everything that we're going to talk about. I really do think, how many people have ODs in their practice? Oh, awesome. Okay, so a lot of us. I think that the best thing, the number one thing that you can do to grow your refractive practice is operate on your ODs. Operate on as many optometrists and ophthalmologists as you can in your market. There's really no greater marketing piece than showing them the benefits of refractive and refractive cataract surgery. So make sure that your internal and external marketing is aligned with your messaging. There are technologies which can help reduce your need for glasses post-op, right? So that's kind of what we're selling with refractive cataract surgery. And avoid overpromising here. So we never ever talk about throwing away your glasses. Vance Thompson has a wonderful sort of saying that our goal is not to rid the world of glasses. Even though we achieve that a lot of times, that's really not our goal, and it shouldn't be your expectation. Our goal is to simply reduce your need for spectacles at all distances, so that 80% of the time you don't need glasses to perform your daily tasks, and that's a goal that we can meet, right? So to me, I always tell every patient that seems to be pretty disarming. On consult day, remember that you only get one chance to make a good first impression. So this is what our waiting room looks like. We hope that it doesn't appear like your normal doctor's office waiting room. We want it to look more like a hotel lobby, right? We have Ms. Sherry, who's sort of our experienced director. She's been with us for 35 years now. She makes cookies in-house every single morning, so fresh-baked chocolate chip cookies, and she's out there delivering them to people, offering them coffee. They have that big television screen there, has all the different technologies that we're offering, sort of playing. And we want people to kind of feel a certain way whenever they walk into Williamson Eye Center. I like to get a weather report from my scribe. How many of you, actually, I'm curious, how many of you look at your patient list in clinic before starting the day? And then how many people just sort of roll in there and just start seeing patients, first chart up, walk into the room? Yeah, several of us do that as well. Yeah, so I find myself, this is sort of do what I say, not what I do. I find myself, I'm almost always late. I'm like 17 minutes late all the time. And so I'll often just run into the room and barely even look at the chart. And I'm always sad. I get kind of embarrassed when I do that because almost always there's a patient or two that I wish I knew more about them before walking into the room, right? So now what I try to do, if I'm on time, is get a weather report. And I ask my scribe, to give me sort of a printout of the 30 to 40 patients I'm going to see in that clinic session, and just identify where the landmines are, right? Who's the unhappy multifocal patient? Who is the engineer who is coming in for their third opinion of their refractive cataract surgery, right? Where are the time sucks? If anything else, who have I met before? Who's a new patient and who's not? I mean, everybody, when you're doing that much surgery, people kind of start to blend in, right? People's faces. We all know and appreciate that. So I want to know who I've met before. Sitting in your waiting room is also important. Like I said, just getting a vibe and a feel for it, understanding your wait times, and observing how the front desk interacts with your guests. So when I did this recently, we had a couple new hires. Someone would walk up to the front desk, and I kind of overheard her say, "Name, date of birth," and I'm like, "Are we at a DMV? Like what?" I mean, like, Jesus. I didn't say that to her, obviously, but I found a way to say, "Hey, listen, here's how we make people feel. Here's some other things that we can offer." Start with a question, not just their name, but how's your day? What's going on? Can I get you anything? So, I think listening to your workups are important as well. I've overheard teammates, say things like, "Oh yeah, would definitely get you out of glasses," or he's going to talk to you about some lenses. You'll be able to throw your reading glasses away. That's not great. So we want to leave those conversations to the surgeon, right? There really is no such thing as a small thing whenever you're talking to patients about refractive cataract surgery. All the details matter. You want to get really good, reliable diagnostics, so GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. If you get crappy topography or biometry, chances are you're not going to pick the right lens. Chances are you're going to have a touch-up on your hands or worse. So make sure that you have all your updated diagnostics. This is kind of my typical workup. Just looking at the ocular surface, basically. I like to look at topography and tomography to make sure that they match in terms of the magnitude and meridian of the cylinder. You want to make sure you look at the back of the eye. Does anybody actually dilate and actually look back there with a lens? Wow, that's awesome. God bless you guys. I'm allergic to the retina. I really don't like looking back there at all. Every time I look back there, the light's bright, and the patient's like, "Ow, this is so bright. Why are you doing this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why am I doing this? This is so stupid." So we bought those Claris cameras for the wide field, and that's just far better than like any retina exam I've ever done in my life. So anyway, that's what we do. I don't look back there anymore. And then my biography and HD analyzers, these are all good things when you're looking for sort of the quality of the media in the eye, particularly the vitreous, which we'll actually touch on later. And make sure you look at the imaging, make sure you have a surgical plan before you enter the room. That way you know what you're going to do. Has anybody ever heard of William White? Yeah, so this guy is a really cool sort of case study. He was an urbanist and he was a sociologist from Princeton. And basically, in the 1950s, he was the dude that people who were planning urban spaces in New York City would call because he studied how human behavior translates in different urban environments, right? So he would say, hey, if you're building a park, this is how much green space you need. This is where your benches should be. If there's going to be an art installation, it should go here, and here's why, et cetera. So he loved looking at, he was an observer, really. He liked to watch how people interact with one another. And he gave me one of my favorite quotes of all time: the biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it ever occurred, right? And we have that printed out at all of our locations in the technician area. He says, we have talked enough, but we have not listened, and by not listening, we have failed to concede the immense complexity of our society, and thus the great gaps between ourselves and those with whom we seek understanding, right? So, I mean, how many times, for those of you who are married, you have a conversation with your spouse and you think it went a certain way and you communicated effectively what your goal or expectation was for the day, and they perceived it totally differently, right? Same thing with your children, same thing with your patients, right? So very, very important that you know what you say and how you say it is so important. It's not what you tell patients, it's what they remember. Those are very, very different things. So what I'm getting at is over-communication. We try to over-communicate all the time. So understand why the patient is actually there is important, right? So how often do you get a cataract consult and the patient's like, yeah, my cataracts are killing me. Patient's like 52, they look healthy, their vision looks decent objectively, and they say, I'm like, your cataract, tell me about that. Well, when I look at like a white, wall, my cataracts keep kind of coming in and coming out, and I blink and I move my eye, and there's my cataracts. And so, that's important to understand that this patient actually is suffering from synuresis and their floaters, and it sort of changes everything, right? But let's say they have gritty eyes. They're going to expect that you're going to cure their gritty eyes, their dry eye, with cataract surgery. No, right? So they need to know that ahead of time. I think that it's really important that you actually understand why they're there. Don't just look at the chart. I think it's important also to listen to what their goals are and not to interrupt them. I talk a lot, my wife tells me, and we're working on that. But, oftentimes I kind of want to steamroll the patient consult, because, you've done it tens of thousands of times, and you kind of know, what you're going to suggest to the patient. I recommend fighting that urge and just take a minute, 60 seconds to listen to the patient and ask what it is that they want. I really do try to find out everything else that's wrong with them that has nothing to do with their cataract, right? So if they have a subtle ERM, if they have some a history of refractive amblyopia, anything I think is useful, because what I do is I position these as chronic problems that cataract surgery may not address and may eventually affect their visual potential. So that's great to know for that 20-25-ish, somewhat mild to moderately unhappy patient. You can come back and say, well, here's the 2 or 3 things that you have: that AMD and you have the dry eye, and so, that's the reason why you're not 20 ecstatic. You're kind of 20 happy-ish, and I think that can be powerful. If you ever see something wrong structurally, I encourage you not just to tell them, but show them. Seeing is believing. Pictures matter, and I can't tell you how many times during the post-op process with a 86% happy patient, as I call it, that I'll kind of revert back to, a little cyst or maybe a placido disc, and say, hey, here's kind of why, your vision isn't perfect, or why, when you blink, it clears up, but then it kind of gets poor again. This is this dry eye that we talked about. And so showing them that picture that I showed them, 6 weeks prior, is super helpful. So some other pearls: beware of the low myope. you really want to, I'm sure a lot of us have been caught with that patient. It's like -2. And you're talking about cataract surgery. They're like, yeah, I don't care about reading glasses or distance glasses or anything like that. I just want regular basic cataract surgery. And then you do that, and they're J10 after, and like, what did you do? Like, you've ruined my life. Like, what are you talking about? Well, I used to always be able to see up close, and now I can't. You've taken that from me. And I'm like, well, we talked about that. Remember I explained that you'll need reading glasses, and here's, on the wall where we have all the expectations here. And they said, yeah, but I could before, right? So I thought I could still see after. So patients all believe that whatever they have before cataract surgery, they're sure that they're going to keep that. You're just going to make all of the bad shit better, right? But what they do have, they're keeping that. And that's not the case, as you guys know. And so we got to tell them that. Having a good relationship with a retina specialist is important. I refer, I don't want to be hyperbolic. I think I probably refer like 5 patients a day to retina for kind of nothing burger, issues. But if they have anything that's going on back there, I send it, so even a subtle ERM, the patient's 20/20 -2, but they glare to 20/40, and we're considering cataract surgery. They got some spoking. They're 62 years old. Yeah, they're going to retina. I know he's not going to do an ERM peel, right? But what that does is it reinforces to them that they have this other issue called an epiretinal membrane. It's like this big crazy thing, and they got to go see a specialist for that, right? The reason I do that is because if I didn't after surgery and they're 20/25 minus, and like, what's going on? I'm like, yeah, it's the epiretinal membrane. They're like, the what? What are you talking about? I came for cataracts, right? Well, I mentioned it, right? I said it briefly for like 2 seconds in our consult. They're not going to remember that. What they will remember is an entirely separate visit to a retina specialist at a different place, right? So it's not what you tell them, it's what they remember. That's why I send everything to retina if I ever have an issue at all. So, and as you can tell, the goal of this is to dramatically undersell so that you can dramatically over-deliver. And there again is the premeditated resentment. Actually, it comes from the AA handbook, expectations or premeditated resentments. When it's time to discuss refractive packages, we really want to avoid, analysis paralysis. They're there to get a strong recommendation for you. Whenever you get on an airplane, the pilot doesn't ever come up to your seat and ask you to suggest a flight plan. That never happens. If it does, get off the plane. When they come see us, they want to know, what would you do if I was your mom, right? The Harvard Business Review had this really cool case study looking at different jams. The Stonewall Kitchen is a famous jam and jelly company. And they had something like 15 different flavors of jam, and they had this everybody come in and they did a focus group and said, hey, which one resonates? Which taste them all, look at them, feel them. What's the best? And it was just all over the map. No one knew. Some of the participants just refused to even rate them because it was like 15 jam. I don't know. That's too much. When they reduced it to 3. It was, shocking how much easier it was for humans to process the choices there, and they all selected the red raspberry jam. So that's important when you're coming up with your refractive packages. So you see the patient there in the chair. Whenever we do a cataract consult, before I go in the room, the last thing that we do is we have our counselor give them an iPad that has a personal video, which I'm about to share with you. And actually, if we could have some sound on the video. And it basically just talks about everything that we're going to offer them. We also have this oversized jumbo poster board looking thing with all their different options. And that's our cataract surgery menu. And 3 options there. It's basic, it's better, and it's best. Words matter, okay? No such thing as a small thing. Every single word, every single phrase, every single vocal intonation, every single nonverbal cue, everything when you're talking to patients matters, right? So we chose those words intentionally. We didn't say traditional cataract surgery. I like things that are traditional. We didn't say classic, cataracts. I love classics. I have a vintage Bronco. I love classic stuff. No, we said basic, because basic cataract surgery, that is what it is. It's not good or bad. I think basic cataract surgery is awesome, and we always tell patients, this is wonderful surgery, by the way. If you don't mind wearing your bifocals, we can absolutely do that. But it is basic surgery. We're doing it completely by hand, kind of sort of the old-fashioned way, which is still a great way. We're not addressing any of your astigmatism. You'll absolutely be put back in bifocals, et cetera. Then we have Better, which is really our laser package, right, or astigmatism management. So this includes either a toric for anybody above a diopter or a femtosecond laser for those that are below. It's all the same price. We charge $2,300 for that. And then option 3 is our best package, which is sort of the full range of vision. That includes whatever your EDOF or multifocal, trifocal of choice is, and we charge $3,900 for that. About 35% of my patients elect option 3. So again, in a market where the median household is about $28K. So here's the video that we show every single patient. This is my dad and I, kind of walking them through.
Welcome to your cataract consultation.
You got the sound on, brother?
I'm Dr. Charles Williamson, founder and medical director.
And I'm Dr. Blake Williamson, the president and managing partner of Williamson Eye Center.
This video was a few years ago. I was a little heavier then. I apologize.
There's never been a more exciting time for cataract surgery.
With the advent of the Catalyst laser and advanced lens options for cataract surgery, patients are enjoying more options to get out of their glasses, and we're seeing outcomes better than ever before.
Our surgeons at the Williamson Eye Center work together as a team for your care. On surgery day, you may see several of us working on your case.
That's right. We really believe that a team-based approach is the most efficient way to care for you during your surgical experience. Dr. Bill Williamson will be in our laser suite performing the femtosecond laser, and in the operating room will be myself and Dr. Charles.
We believe that collaborating on your care and having the best technology is paramount to our success, and it's the reason why we have so many happy patients.
So there are 2 main decisions for cataract surgery: how we remove the cataract and what type of implant we put back in. In the past, cataract surgery could only be performed by hand, but now we have the updated Catalyst femtosecond laser system, which is by far more precise and more accurate and safer than surgery done by hand.
So exactly what is modern laser cataract surgery? And how does it differ from the older techniques, which are done by hand? Here's an animation to explain the benefits.
Many of the steps of cataract surgery that are traditionally performed using handheld tools can now be completed with a laser. Using the Catalyst Precision Laser System, your surgeon can provide you a customized, laser-precise, and gentle approach to your cataract surgery. How does the Catalyst Laser System work? Every eye has a unique size and shape. Prior to treatment, the Catalyst system scans the eye, making a precise 3D map of relevant structures. This process enables your surgeon to create a customized treatment plan that is uniquely tailored to your eye. How does laser cataract surgery with a Catalyst system compare to traditional manual surgery? In traditional cataract surgery, your surgeon uses handheld blades to create incisions in the cornea for accessing the cataract. Your surgeon will then use a surgical instrument to manually create an opening in the lens capsule that holds the cataract. With the Catalyst system, your surgeon can use the laser to make the corneal incisions with excellent precision. Moreover, your surgeon can use the laser to create the circular opening in the lens capsule with precise size, shape, and location. The goal in these steps is to make the corneal incisions precise and the opening in the lens capsule as circular as possible, in the right location and size to fit the replacement lens. With the Catalyst system, your surgeon can also soften the hard cataract and segment it into manageable pieces. Shown here is a Catalyst laser grid pattern softening the cataract. Your surgeon may recommend using the Catalyst system to create additional laser-precise incisions in the cornea. The next step in both the traditional and Catalyst laser system procedures is to remove the tissue. and then break up and remove the cataract. In the traditional approach, your surgeon will insert mechanical instruments into the eye and use ultrasound energy to break up the hard cataract into pieces that are small enough to be removed. In laser cataract surgery, the softening of the lens by the catalyst system enables your surgeon to remove the cataract in a gentle manner. For both traditional and catalyst laser system procedures, the precision of these steps sets the stage for accurate positioning of the replacement lens. And accurate positioning of the replacement lens is one of the critical factors for achieving the desired visual outcome. Your surgeon may recommend a treatment plan that could include a specific lens implant type and additional incisions in the cornea. In traditional cataract surgery, these corneal incisions are made with a handheld blade. With the catalyst system, your surgeon can customize these incisions for you with laser precision. These laser incisions are highlighted in blue here. What are the benefits of laser cataract surgery? With the Catalyst laser system, your surgeon can provide you with a customized treatment with advanced 3D imaging, a laser-precise treatment, and a gentle approach to surgery.
At the Williamson Eye Center, you have 3 different options for cataract surgery. Today, I'll go over the best options for your unique case to help meet your goals for vision. Option 1 is basic cataract surgery. With basic cataract surgery, the entire procedure is performed by hand using traditional keratome blades. This procedure is safe, it's precise, and it's effective. We do not fix the astigmatism, however. So for patients wanting to fine-tune their vision, they'll likely need to be in full-time bifocals or glasses or contact lenses after this procedure. Option 2 is laser cataract surgery. With laser cataract surgery, the most pivotal steps to the procedure will be performed with the femtosecond laser. As safe, as effective, and as precise as handheld methods are, we find that the laser adds an extra level of precision, accuracy, safety, and reproducibility that is simply unmatched by the human hand. With this procedure, we do address the astigmatism. Therefore, for tasks like driving or watching television, patients can expect to be mostly glasses-free. However, you will need reading glasses for up-close tasks like reading your cell phone or looking at the computer. Option 3 is also laser cataract surgery, but it includes a more advanced lens implant. This lens will allow patients a full range of vision. For patients seeking maximum freedom from glasses, and patients who are wanting to see far away, at intermediate ranges, and up close, this is the best option for them. While we can never guarantee complete and total freedom from glasses, and while reading glasses may be required from time to time, Option 3 is the best shot for total freedom from glasses.
Some of the technology we've talked about today, such as laser cataract surgery and these advanced lens implants, are not fully covered by your medical insurance.
However, here at the Williamson Eye Center, we don't believe money should get in the way of your visual goals. We offer low-interest financing and allow our patients to pay by the month.
Now that you've been presented with some of the options and offered an insight to some of the technology involved in cataract surgery, I will come in a minute to examine you and answer all of your questions.
Most specifically, though, we will recommend to you the best option that will give you the best possible visual results.
On behalf of the surgeons here at the Williamson Eye Center, I want to thank you for trusting us with your vision.
So, and I can send you guys that video if you want that, so you can make your own version. But when you show patients that, literally, I just walk in the room and they're like, "I want a number 2." I'm like, "Oh, okay, so that's it." Like, yeah, I don't care about reading glasses. I'd like to have a number 2, please. I'm like, "Great, this is awesome." I mean, it really saves you so much time. It's a long video. It's 7 minutes. But it really tells them everything they need to know. So my dad is 73, so he's slowed down. He doesn't really do as much surgery anymore, but he sees patients for me in clinic. So he'll help me with like pre-op, post-op, and my Uncle Bill fires my femto. So we have a separate sort of femto suite. He's my shooter, which is kind of perfect. So, a typical surgery morning, I'll do about 20 lasers and about, meaning like YAGs and SLTs, and about 40 cataract surgeries. And I'm done by 1:30. And that's because we have him sort of feeding the two manual ORs where I'm just bopping back and forth. But, I think that, patients oftentimes don't, with that volume, they don't really remember seeing me, they're getting versed. So I think that on the front end, having, both of those other doctors in the video is important, right? Like letting them know, hey, this is a team. You're going to see a few of us on that day. I think is sort of helpful. And I think that, really you saw us sort of hammer femto and why we think, why we are believers in that. I believe precision matters. For the longest time, we weren't able to say that outcomes or safety was better with femto. Just now, in the past 2 years, we can now say that it is safer thanks to Wendell Scott's work at Mercy Hospital. He has his meta-analysis with recent femtosecond laser platforms was able to show that you reduce your capsular posterior capsule tear by I think 50%, reduces vitrectomy by 50% using femto. So that's with modern systems. Can't say that the outcomes are better, but you can now say it's safer. So you heard me say that as well and lean into it. But even if you're a femto hater still, at the very least, you could say that it is more precise. And I would ask you, are you comfortable with a less precise procedure on your eye, even if it gives you the same outcome? Most people, if they're being honest, would say no. So anyway, we hammer that, and we hammer the different lens options, and that's really it. And then once they see that, really the only thing left to do is to talk turkey. Patients already, believe that they're going to do well with cataract surgery because, all their friends had cataract surgery, they did well, they think it's pretty routine, right? Really what they want to know is, how's it going to feel? Is it going to hurt? And what does it cost, right? They want to know what's it going to take to pay for this thing. That's really the elephant in the room. And so, I do think it's good to have refractive coordinators that can talk money. Many physicians are allergic to talking about cash. And I get that, but I really think that I don't think it's beneath us. I think it's just what they want to know. And so what I do in the room is I say, listen, you wanted to be out of glasses and out of reading glasses. Here's that package. Here's what it does. It does cost roughly $3,800 to $3,900 per eye. But the good news is that we have different financing packages, and for almost no interest, you can pay for that like $300 a month, something like that. And that's all I do, and that's huge because it gives them an idea of what world they're living in. They may think it's $100. They may think it's $20,000. They have no idea, right? So you want to at least give them that framework. If they have any question at all about the finances after that, I quickly defer to my counselor. You're going to talk to a counselor after, and they're going to go over the specifics. I just want you to have a general idea of kind of sort of what this costs, right? And that's huge. It avoids sticker shock, right? So before I was doing this, because I'm a doctor, I'm too good to talk about what things cost. So I wasn't mentioning that, and I'd have a wonderful conversation with the patient. They'd get down to my refractive counselor, and she'd say, yeah, this is going to be $8,000. And the patient would be pissed. They'd be like, wait, what? They felt like it was like a bait and switch situation. And so what happens? Well, my counselor, doesn't do the conversion, so to speak. She feels like a failure because she wasn't able to convert the patient. The patient feels misled, and then they go down the street and to the person who's offering nothing, no torics, no multifocals, and they say, "Oh yeah, I got you. Your Medicare covers all of this. This is ridiculous." And so it's just. It breeds a lot of mistrust. So I think that just being honest about what things cost is important. And you heard me there sort of communicate a monthly price, oftentimes with a big number like $8,000. They're like, oh my God, that's so expensive. But if you sort of compare it to something mundane in their life that they're already paying for, like their cable bill or their electricity bill, but this is their vision, oftentimes they can grasp that a little bit better. So you really got to know also who not to operate on. So check this out. This is from several years ago. But I had a wonderful meeting with an engineer about their options. And this dude seemed like a normal dude, super kind and thoughtful discussion, typical engineer talk, but didn't ask too many questions. I was like, oh, he seems like pretty reasonable. And then literally that afternoon, we just met like an hour ago, he sends this email. Can you ask Dr. Blake, do I have any posterior corneal astigmatism? Which toric IOL is he considering putting in my eye? The fact that I have astigmatism, is this the old or the newer approved lens? In my post-op visit on September 8, can I have at least 2 instruments make my preoperative astigmatic measurements? Is he using intraoperative aberrometry by the WaveTech Vision Company? I mean, on and on and on. Who wants to operate on this patient? No one does, right? Did I operate on him? I did. And the reason I did is because engineers actually are some of my happiest patients. People want to be known and want to be loved. Human beings in general want to be known and they want to be loved. Engineers want to be they want to understand and they want to be understood. That's it. So who in this audience is type A? You better all raise your hands. You're ophthalmologists, right? So frankly, I would ask these same damn questions. That's just the truth. Or at least I'd be thinking them. I probably wouldn't type them in an email an hour after my visit because I don't want to seem like a crazy person, but I would be thinking about these things. So I called this guy and I answered his, 6 questions, and that was it. And he turned out to be perfectly reasonable. So don't shy away from engineers. They just understand that they want to understand and they want to be understood. Surgery. That's the easy part, right? So we've done all this heavy lifting on the front end. Now we're in the surgery piece. This is the time that you have to take it to the hoop, okay? You can't screw this up or none of this psychology really matters. So who still does cataract surgery like this? Let's check this out. This is Sir Harold Ridley with one of the very first videos showing cataract surgery. The audible gasp in the room. No one's doing this still? Yeah, Austin, you still do? Is this your technique here? We went to the Sir Harold Ridley Gala at the Tower of London a few months ago. It was pretty amazing. It was the 50th or 75th anniversary of the first IOL. But we're not doing surgery like that anymore, right? We have amazing technology, including the light adjustable lens. I love that you can actually make the macromers sort of form your own logo. Did you guys know that? So we showed the patients that sometime when explaining what the LAL will do for them. Pretty cool how far we've come from Sir Harold Ridley. I got to meet his son, actually. Really cool guy. So post-op, assuming all has gone well, don't screw it up now, right? So golly, like you could just, knock it out the park, nothing but net, and then you get in the room and, the technician is going down the Snellen chart, and they get to 2025 or 2020, and the patient struggles, and they say, oh, you can't see that? Totally reasonable to feel that way and even say that, but I'm like, Jesus, it's day one. Like, don't say it like that. Like, it's great. I don't care if they're 2060. Like, make them think that that's great. And if it's not great, I will fix it. But, you can't sort of undo that once that's done. You really have to nail the post-op experience. We want to make it a celebration no matter what. So celebrate vision, even if they had a bunch of defolds and inflammation and they had the iris bumping out of the wound and you're kind of embarrassed and you're hoping your OD doesn't see it. They don't know that, right? And so you can kind of tailor your conversation based on what it is. One thing that I would recommend everybody do is call your patients the evening after surgery. They will never forget that. How many people call your patients the day? Really? You all phone your surgical list that evening and say, hey, how are you feeling? Yourself, y'all do that? Wow, that's impressive. So usually folks don't do that. I did that for 8 years. And just these past 2 years, I've just gotten so busy. It's literally 40 phone calls, and I'm a radio DJ too. I have a old-fashioned like blues and country western show. I do on 96.9 in Baton Rouge, and my day on Wednesday, that's what I do Wednesday night. And my day is so busy that day. It's my main surgery day. But I'll be calling patients as I was going to my radio show, and I literally almost got in a wreck. And my wife was like, hey, screw this. Like, I get that you're trying really hard to let your patients know that you care, and that it's not just a conveyor belt of surgery, even though it is. I don't want them to feel that way. But like, you almost wrecked your car. So now what I do is I have Miss Sherry, my experience director that I told you about earlier with the cookies. She actually sends a text message of me and her. I don't have that video, but it's just the two of us with the handheld, iPhone video. Like, hey, thinking about you. Just everything went good today. Da 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 da. If you have any problems or anything, here's my personal cell phone. And so she'll send out all 40 of those text messages around 5 p.m. No one ever replies. No one ever bothers me. You would think you giving out your cell phone? That's crazy. No, they're not. They're very respectful of that. You should do it. Talk to the technicians about how to check vision. Check vision with both eyes open, right? So the worst thing you can do is do this. I want to look at your right eye and then your left eye, because then they're comparing eyes already. They're doing the refractive salute, We don't walk around life like this. Don't check vision like that. I don't care what the right eye and the left eye are doing independently until I know what they're doing together. After you establish, with both eyes, summation, I'm seeing pretty well. Yes, then you can check both eyes independently, because I am curious how they're doing. But we want to establish, hey, I'm okay. That's the first thing you want to establish psychologically. Start with 2400 and push. Acknowledge once they pass the pre-op uncorrected. So I always want to know, hey, where'd they start? Was this a +4 hyperop? Was this a -6 myo? And know kind of where they used to be. Use a light source whenever you're looking at near vision cards. I think that's important. And celebrate any and all visual outcomes on day one. We use words like congratulations. Congratulations is a very powerful word. We say it all the time. And never show a patient a line of vision they can't see. That is a huge, huge thing. I want that in all my technicians' workstations as well. So let's say that Mrs. Smith comes in and my tech gets them down to 20/25 on day one. I tell her, I say, the next thing you do before you leave that room is you roll that bad boy up to 20/40, right? So whatever they stopped at, you need to put the Snellen chart up 2 lines of vision bigger than what they just read. That way, when they're waiting 5, 10, 15 minutes for me to come in the room, they're not staring at a line of vision that they barely saw the whole time, and then they're doing this and saying, you know what, actually, shit, I don't know if I could see that really, You're not setting yourself up for success. Roll it up 2 lines, whatever they read. Never show something, a line of vision that they can't see. Near cards, my buddy Bill Plauchet in Texas, he's a brilliant guy. He found with his EDOF lenses that he wasn't getting a lot of J1+. So you know what he did? He actually cut his near card after J2. So he literally cut J1 and J1+ off the damn near card. People in Texas are amazing. I'm like, holy shit, why did I not think of that? He's a redneck genius. And so now I don't have J1 on my near card. And my team was like, really? I mean, that's some voodoo. I'm like, I want to stack the deck in my favor to a very, nth degree, because why wouldn't you? And then sort of lastly, we'll kind of end in the past, I guess we got about 10 minutes, with the pearls for the unhappy patient, right? Like I said, people want to understand, they want to feel understood. So show them where they came from so they can appreciate where they are. So many people who are just absolutely pissed about their cataract outcome, and I look back and they're like a +350 hyperop. And I'm like, well, shit, Miss Jones, like this is what you used to see. I'd show them J10 and say, you couldn't even see that before, and now you're bitching about your J2+ vision. I don't use those words, but it's kind of what I politely suggest. And I think that's important. How many people have that patient that comes in that before you even sit down, they've given you like 6 different complaints after their cataract surgery? It's this, it's that, I don't like this, I don't like that, and blah, blah, blah. Everything sucks, you're terrible. I get that at least every other day. And when that happens, the first thing I do is I take a deep breath, I take a sip of my coffee, and I force them to give me something that they like about their vision. I force it. Well, I don't like anything, everything sucks, you're terrible. Well, you didn't have any complications in your surgery, did you? Well, no, I didn't have any complications. Do you still have a cataract in your eye? No, I don't. I have a lens implant. I don't like my lens implant, but I have a lens implant. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that you had successful cataract surgery in the sense that you didn't have any complications. The cataract is gone. Had we not done this, you would have just gone blind from cataract, not next month or next year, but eventually, and that's never going to happen again. So even when they don't like anything, you can force them to tell you something that they are appreciative of. That takes the air out of the room. When they're upset, I talk slower, I speak more softly, and usually it's a better, more conducive for a good conversation. Yag early, but beware of the early yag. So many people, especially multifocals, my dad, God, it just gets on my nerves so much. He will yag the hell out of people way early in a multifocal patient. And I'm like, dude, maybe a multifocal lens wasn't for them. You got to be ready and prepared to do an explant. So don't yag so early that you sort of ruin your chance to do an explant. Not that you can't explant with an open capsule, but nobody really wants to do that. I don't like to do that. So make sure that you're yagging for the right reasons, right? We all know the patient to yag is the one that's like, I was kicking ass for 3 or 4 or 5 months or a year, and then things kind of changed, and you see PCO, okay, yag them. But if they were just miserable from day one with their multifocal lens, that's a hot potato. You got to get that thing out of there, right? You have to do touch-ups. If you're a refractive, many people will call themselves a refractive cataract surgeon, meaning they do like 1 toric lens a week, no excimer ablations, and no explants. I'd push back. I'm not so sure that you are. If you're a true refractive cataract surgeon, you sort of normalize the idea of the explant. You normalize the idea of a LASIK touch-up. I did 3 LASIK touch-ups this week. Yesterday? Was that yesterday? What, today's Friday? Yeah, yesterday. So that's normal. That's not a failure. That's sort of part of what we do, because we don't want to leave people on the 10-yard line. They're paying $8,000. They want to be in the end zone doing the touchdowns dance, and to do that, to get there, oftentimes you do need an excimer. Now, if you don't have one, that's okay too. Just make sure you have a partner or colleague in your market that will do touch-ups for you as needed. Get comfortable with lens exchange. Make sure that you know what they're taking away, or what you're going to take away if you are going to do an exchange. So oftentimes the unhappy multifocal patient, I love this with ICL as well. They're like, my waxy vision and things just aren't crisp and halo and glare at night, yada yada. I'm like, okay, cool, we'll get this thing out. But just so you know, you're J2 now. I'm going to put you back to J10. So you're going to need reading glasses for everything. Just to make sure you're aware of that. And they say, oh, no, I don't want to do that, right? So showing them what you're going to take away is critical. All of a sudden, it's not a big deal. Same thing with ICL patients. They're like, I got some halos around lights. I'm like, all right, I can take the thing out if you want. They were like a -13 before. No, doc, no, leave it in. I'm like, exactly. So what you're saying is that your problem is not that bad, and that you do appreciate the functionality that we're giving you. Making sure that you remind them about those pre-op chronic issues that we sort of found out before is important. When they're really pissed, having a family member in the room is critical. That person can be your support whenever they go back to their house. And oftentimes when they read 2020 J2, the spouse is like, oh my God, like, can you really see that? And I'll always kind of like lean in, and I'll have to like scoot my chair up and sort of have this big theatrical thing. I'm like, man, I can't even see that, right? Which is sometimes true. And so that's really important. Second opinions are great, and most importantly, you run to these. I know that it's not fun, hearing people tell you how much you suck when you think you're the man, but you got to run to these patients. If not, when they feel abandoned, that's why they sue. The number one reason for lawsuits is a feeling of abandonment. So a LASIK ablation, I won't spend too much time on this other than to say that this is a wonderful review of sort of the LASIK touch-up model. This is from Morshafar at Hoops Vision in Utah, and they have just a factory of sort of presentations and data that they do out there in their research center. But I would just encourage you to read that. I realize this matters because J&J did a study, and they said, hey, what is the biggest driver for you wanting to do refractive surgery, refractive cataract surgery? And it was the promise that vision is going to be 20/20 or better. right? So the promise of this superhuman vision, that's why patients really are driven to pay money for refractive surgery. So we have to get them there if they're not there. You do have your come to Jesus moment when you're looking at these people. Again, understand what they're giving up. If that minus 75 residual refractive error J2 plus EDOF patient comes in saying, yeah, but my distance vision, it's kind of okay. Say, all right, well, I'll do a minus 75 touch-up, but that J2 is going to go away. You're going to be J6, J7. Is that what you want? How bad is this really? I think that when you do that, that's helpful. Doing a contact lens trial allows a test drive. Making sure that they have a otherwise healthy cornea, good residual stromal bed is important. You do need to do PRK as well if the RSB is not adequate or if they have a kind of a funky tomography. And I think that this is sort of the last piece that I wanted to focus on, which is the idea of floater removal. We've tried to normalize this as well. So we've normalized the explant, we've normalized the LASIK enhancement. The last thing that we need to do as a group, ophthalmologists, everybody in this room, is we need to normalize floater vitrectomies. Okay? That's a real thing. And only in the past year or two have we gotten aggressive with this. So how many times do you have a beautiful 20/20 J1 multifocal patient who is just miserable after everything else is good, you optimize the ocular surface, you remove the PCO, blah, blah, blah. They're still unhappy. It's the damn floaters, right? And it's not the traditional floater. It's not the black gnat floating in their vision that they're swatting away. It's not that. It's just an overall, sort of film that kind of moves. And so removing that and getting aggressive with sending that to retina is critical. So Dagny Zhu sort of presented this recently. She found that 70% of her patients reported a significant improvement in visual quality after YAG vitreolysis, right? So that's huge. And I probably send, 30 or 40 patients a year for a vitrectomy with my retina specialist who does these for me. I've never once ever have had a patient who's not happier after, right? They may be only 86% happy, but they were 72% happy, and so now it's better. So let's get some volume here as well. This is courtesy
Can you look
of
more
Paul
to your left
Singh.
for me? There you go. That's better. Now I have a good central view. Again, there's a retina. Here's a floater. And a hair down. That's perfect. Ah, gorgeous. Here we go. There we are.
Is anyone doing YAG vitreolysis?
Fantastic.
Okay, cool. So you guys are more advanced than me.
Getting
I
that
don't do
photo
this
as we
shit.
speak.
I'm nervous about looking at the back of the eyes I mentioned. I don't like to look back there. Luckily, I have a retina specialist in my market who's super aggressive with limited vitrectomies, and so I just send them. But a lot of people are having success with this. Paul is one of a dear friend of mine. He's one of the main folks sort of promoting this. I think it's important because, how many times do you look at a multifocal patient? Again, everything looks good, the eye's clean, vision, objectively, acuity-wise is good. But, you look back there, they're complaining of poor vision, and this is what you see, right? So we see that all the time. So here's a
we have a
multifocal
multifocal
lens.
lens.
Same thing.
And there's a floater.
So that patient's not going to
Okay,
be
buddy.
happy. It doesn't
You're gonna
matter
hear
if they
some
have
clicking,
if they're
snapping
plano
sounds, okay?
with a beautiful tear
So
film.
here we
If
go.
that
We'll try our
thing's
best
sitting
to get rid
there,
of this thing for you.
they're going to be happy-ish. That's your 86%er. So, and the last thing is, if you think that it's too much, to get with a YAG, vitrectomy is certainly a more complete way to do this. This is the one step. This is from a company called Vista Ophthalmics. I have no financial interest in them. My buddy Jeff in Houston sort of invented this little thing, and it's an opportunity to do one-step vitrectomy. I think this is Paul doing it as well. So you have your AC maintainer that you put in there. You measure about 5 back, from the limbus, and you just have this small gauge needle that you stick back there, and you can do a really thorough vitrectomy. And the idea is that this is an opportunity for the refractive and refractive cataract surgeons to have a simple way, without doing trocars and special lights and all that stuff that the retina specialists do, to get rid of floaters. Because in a lot of people's market, they have very conservative retina specialists who won't do this stuff. Literally, there's no one to send them to, and so they hear this lecture and they say, "Yeah, I see patients like that all the time, but nobody's going to fix it in my market because they're concerned that they're going to have a retinal tear or whatever." And so they have to start doing them themselves. So I think that's where this one-step thing actually comes in. And this is kind of another cool way to see it. I think he's wearing the Bionics headpiece. So Bionics is this Israeli company. I think they've sold to BVI, but you can wear that sort of headpiece there, and you can turn on IR, and allows you an opportunity to see the capsule, even in like a white cataract. But here he is sort of doing the one step in this case as well. Just allows you a beautiful visualization of all the floaters. Pretty cool stuff. So your pre and post-op view, you can tell, look at the clarity there, right? And so big difference between how they're reporting their vision before and after. Sorry, I'm having trouble with this slide. Can you there you go. And if you look at the pre and post higher order aberrations, you can see that internal was 0.3 before, 0.0 after, right? So this is not bullshit. This is, you can objectively measure that their quality of their vision is dramatically better in terms of higher order aberrations with the vitrectomy. So I want to be respectful of your time. I know that we're up against a break. I can definitely answer some questions during the break, and then the next session we're going to have some other surgeons come up here, and we're going to go through a bunch of cases. This is all sort of voodoo, since we're in New Orleans, all the psychology and the voodoo with how to create an environment where people will be happy. But after the break, we'll talk about real world cases with refractive cataract surgery. Thank you for your attention.